Taking a look at radar, starting to see more rainfall moving in from the coast. I'll show you when we'll see the heaviest rain in the next 24 hours and how much it could be where you are.
And we have conditions from the triangle to the coast to help keep you safe. You're looking live from the WRAL storm tracker following this storm. They're in South Carolina right now on I-95 and heading into North Carolina.
Please listen to local officials and follow evacuation orders if they are issued.
As Governor Roy Cooper issuing a stern warning as Debbie closes in on our state.
Voluntary evacuations are underway right now in our state's southernmost beaches. This is a live look at Ocean Isle Beach as Tropical Storm Debbie moves slowly up the East Coast at a walking pace. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Here is the latest on the storm. President Biden has approved federal disaster money for North Carolina. Governor Roy Cooper has activated more than 350 soldiers and airmen from the NC National Guard. 17 swiftwater rescue teams have also been deployed if needed.
We have crews tracking the storm in our studio, live on the roads around the triangle and at the beaches, including Wrightsville and Ocean Isle. Let's start with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner and the changes in this forecast with new information from the National Hurricane Center.
After a drier start this morning, we're starting to see some of that rain really pick up in intensity here just off the coast and pushing inland. And I'm going to show you why we're going to see that continuing to intensify overnight tonight and tomorrow coming up. But let's take a look here, seeing some scattered showers from Lewisburg southward towards Zebulon, up through Wake Forest and over toward Durham. And of course, some of the heavier rain starting to pick up in the eastern part of our viewing area. As of 11 a.m., the storm was 55 miles southeast of Charleston with winds at 60 miles per hour. So it did increase in intensity just slightly from the previous advisory. It is moving northeast at 5 miles per hour. And it does look like in the forecast, it could increase by this evening up to 65 mile per hour winds. So it may strengthen just slightly as it makes landfall in between Myrtle Beach and Charleston. So some wind damage is possible with winds at that speed. It'll continue to move in across Florence overnight and into early tomorrow. And out ahead of the center of the circulation is where all the rain is. So that slowly moves up through South Carolina, pushing a lot of rain into our area. And then it gets swept up by a trough or a weak cold front, and that will start to accelerate it quickly. And so that's the one thing that we're seeing different in this new update. At 8 a.m. Friday, it has winds at 35 miles per hour, but it is in Virginia instead of sitting over North Carolina. We're going to talk about some more of the implications of that coming up. But I wanted to take you back. I was going to show you where Amy is. Meteorologist Amy Wilmoth is actually down near the South Carolina, North Carolina line, driving down I-95. And Amy, of course, you spent some time in Charleston with all of that flooding, but I saw this morning how it had started to go down. But I know now you're getting back into some heavy rain.
That's right. We left Charleston where they lifted the curfew this morning. So Charleston is doing much better. It's back open. And now we're headed back home so that we can be in our area to cover the storm through the day tomorrow in the storm tracker. So we are on I-95. We just crossed over into North Carolina. So we're headed north, and we've kind of been getting bands of rain. At times it's fairly heavy, but so far we haven't had really any issues at all driving on I-95. The road is wet, but I haven't even seen any ponding as of yet. Now I expect that that's going to worsen over the next 24 hours or so. And again, we'll be back in the area later on this evening, and we'll have more coverage from the WRAL Storm Tracker. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Amy. I'm glad you were safe down in Charleston. We look forward to hearing from you as you continue to head back to the Triangle area. Notice here at lunchtime, a few scattered showers. That's what we're seeing. As we head through the afternoon, we're going to see more rain bands, but those really get heavy as we get into early tomorrow morning. There's 6 a.m., there's lunchtime, and then into the afternoon, those rain bands really start to intensify. This is when we're going to see the heaviest rain out of this system. In addition to the rain that we've already seen, we can see 2 to 4 inches in our northern counties, 4 to 6 in the Triangle, And from Goldsboro to Clinton and Fayetteville, another 5 to 7 inches of rain. Not only could that cause some flash flooding, we may end up with some tornadoes. Small risk of that in the eastern part of the state today, but parts of our viewing area, our northeastern counties, are in that level 2 risk for tomorrow as we start to see the intensification of those rain bands. So isolated tornadoes are a possibility tomorrow, along with that potential for heavy rain, some gusty winds as well. We also are looking at the rivers beginning to rise this weekend. I'll show you what some of the total crests could be coming up.
This is a giant system. So let's go down to Myrtle Beach right now. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan is there checking on conditions for us. And Chelsea, the wind is up, and I know that because we just watched you chase your hat down the beach. We good?
Yeah, we're good right now. Of course, the minute we step out of the car, we're feeling those wind gusts. I just looked at my phone. We're getting some gusts of about 38 miles per hour, and suddenly the rain is starting to come down. There's virtually nobody on the beach, and that is because, as the mayor put it this morning, the beaches are closed. The surf is just too rough. Of course, they're concerned about storm surge. We've got a double flag warning here in the city of Myrtle Beach. Just to orient you as to where we are, we're kind of on the northern strand. If you look up the beach, there's a couple folks taking pictures. A lot of people planned their vacation for this week before the kids go back to school. And obviously their vacation is looking a little bit different than what they planned. It's a far cry from what we showed you yesterday, where they were still getting in some sun and some fun. A lot different today. I'll show you some video we shot this morning kind of on the southern part of the strand by the boardwalk. You can see the windy conditions all morning long. We noticed that first thing when we came onto the beach this morning. Just the wind and the rain and virtually not a soul out here, and that's a good thing. I talked to the mayor this morning. You know, she said for the past 2 weeks, the city here has been preparing, taking lifeguard stands off the beach, garbage cans, lowering retention ponds. She likens this storm to Dorian as well as Florence, and also to October of 2015 with the remnants of Hurricane Joaquin. So she's basically saying, hunker down, stay put. We're not out of the woods just yet. Take a listen.
And this is going to be a significant rain event for us. And the way that the storm is just stalling over us for days, we are really concerned about the amount of water that we will have, as well as how it will impact the North Carolina rivers and ultimately impact us here in the next coming week.
Yeah, so as she said, this could impact folks here in Myrtle Beach, maybe not today or tomorrow, but as those floodwaters come down, that torrential rain, it's going to cause quite an impact over the next few weeks. We want to mention right now that we know that Horry County has got their Emergency Operations Center fully activated. That means they've got resources and people ready to go to deploy wherever that might be. They've got 11 shelters that have just now opened here in South Carolina, none in Horry County right now. And right now there are no evacuations. But again, you do not want to be out in this, walking the beach or on the roadways. Best right now to stay put. We're live in Myrtle Beach. Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
New within the last hour, there is no longer a storm surge or watch for our coastline. And this morning, the coast didn't get as much rain from Debbie as expected, but there is more to come. WRAL's Grace Holland is live at Ocean Isle Beach right now, where some folks have decided to stay and ride out the storm. Grace, how are things looking?
Renee, in the last 10 minutes or so, the winds have started to pick up, as you can see, but it still remains pretty clear rain-wise. We've seen that for quite some time now. We even saw the sun peeking through within the last hour, so you might see some of these kids that are playing in this tide pool here to my left. People just trying to make the best out of their vacations. Don't worry, the parents are here. They were keeping them out of the surf, which, of course, there are still those red flags warnings, but travelers are really just trying to make the best out of their trips here. I want to show you this video from earlier. Look at this. Someone was even fishing in the water. Lots more people were walking up and down the beach, getting a look at things. But as the day has moved closer to lunchtime, people are just trying to have a beach day as best they can. One woman visiting from the western part of the state said she took about a mile walk up the beach this morning, and she said she is feeling very optimistic about their family's decision to stay.
You know what? I was just thinking as I walked down the beach, we get to do so many different things because the weather's not good. We get to play board games, we get to read books, we get to bond. So I'm not afraid of the storm here. I don't think we have anything to worry about, do we?
All right, that still remains to be seen, but things are looking nice right now. Like I said, those red flags are flying, so be careful out on the beaches. No swimming due to that current risk out there. You don't want to take that risk. And back out here live, just a few minutes before we came on here, I went and spoke to the mayor. She got an update at 10 a.m. She says the forecast is looking drier than what they were expecting. Some dry air has kind of changed things a little bit. So again, they're feeling optimistic about the conditions that we'll see here and that lesser risk of storm surge. Live in Ocean Isle, I'm Grace Holland, WRAL News.
And right now we also have a crew at Wrightsville Beach feeling some strong winds just like this morning. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is there live for us right now. And Kelsey, I know that wave has come, or the rains have come in waves for you, but the surf is kicked up pretty good behind you now.
Jeff, now we're experiencing some rain. We didn't see any rain really throughout the morning except for one time at 4:30, and now we have a downpour. So you can see that heavy surf here beside me. We've experienced wind all throughout the morning, but we'll give you a look now at video of a man trying to get back to his kayak after it overturned. This happened this morning. We spoke with him once he was able to get out of the water. He's okay now. You can see him there wearing a life jacket. A park ranger drove up to check on him once he got back to shore.
He came up and talked to me after I came out, said you couldn't get out. I said no, it was a little bit too stacked up and ran out of gas. And he goes, okay. He's like, I wouldn't go out today.
We haven't seen many surfers out this morning, but we have seen a few people that are just out sitting on the shore trying to enjoy looking at those waves. But there is a sign there behind me. You may not be able to see it, but it says no lifeguards are on duty. So if anyone is out here in the water, they're doing that at their own risk. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Wrightsville Beach.
Governor Roy Cooper is advising North Carolinians not to underestimate Debbie's likely impacts. He held a news conference today to talk about how the state is preparing for the storm. WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie is live at the Operations Center where the governor spoke. And Laura, the governor said that everyone should be taking Debbie seriously.
That's right, Renee. You know, right now we're in the Situation Room at the state's Emergency Operations Center. This is where the leaders of agencies across state government get information and coordinate their decisions about storm response. It's pretty empty right now, but we're told there are about 150 people in here for this morning's briefing. They're keeping an especially close eye on the potential for flooding in southeastern counties. Cooper said with the ground already saturated and a month's worth of rain on the way over the next few days, flooding is his major concern. He said 17 swiftwater rescue teams are already positioned in eastern and central North Carolina, ready to assist people who need help getting out of dangerous flooding. He said most fatalities in storms like this happen when people try to drive or walk through floodwaters.
It only takes 6 inches of fast-moving flood water to knock over an adult and just 12 inches to carry away most cars. Now is not the time to see if your car floats, because it doesn't. It's not safe to drive or walk through floodwaters.
Now, since the disastrous flooding we saw during Hurricanes Matthew and Florence, Cooper says the state has enhanced its system of river gauges, and that gives them a better understanding of where and when flooding is likely and help may be needed. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Live dual Doppler 5000 radar is at your fingertips on our WRAL News app. Stay updated with us throughout the storm by making sure to sign up for alerts.
Next at noon, other news we're following. Will NC 540 open on time? The Department of Transportation is confident in its ribbon-cutting date at the end of this month, but does Debbie have other ideas?
Also, drones are being used in New York City to warn people of incoming severe weather. How the high-tech alerts will go out.
Plus, as we track Tropical Storm Debbie, this is another live look right now. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That surf is kicking up. We saw Chelsea Donovan there just a few minutes ago, lost her hat. High winds there. We'll check back in with her in the next half hour.
here in the WRAL Live Center, we are taking a look at flight delays and cancellations at RDU. Airlines have been forced to cancel and delay thousands of flights over the past couple of days. So here's where we stand right now. Raleigh-Durham looking at 39 delays and 18 cancellations. This has steadily climbed throughout the morning. I've been checking. I also checked over in Charlotte. They're worse off. They're looking at 89 delays and 21 cancellations right now at Charlotte Douglas International. So if you are flying out today, you have family coming into town, definitely check the schedule before you head out the door.
Michelle, thanks. A new section of NC 540 is expected to open later this month. It will eventually be an outer loop around Raleigh. WRAL's Ken Smith joins us now with how Tropical Storm Debbie could delay the planned opening. Ken.
You know, Renee, like most road construction projects, staying on schedule depends on the weather. And in this case, Tropical Storm Debbie. Right now, the state DOT has a ribbon cutting ceremony scheduled for August 27th. The newest leg of I-540 will then be opened at 6 a.m. on August 28th. Now, this new section extends the Triangle Expressway from Highway 55 near Holly Springs and Apex to I-40 near Johnston County and also to Highway 70. Now, keep in mind, the new Triangle Expressway section is a toll road. The 18 miles of this new highway are the first of a two-phase project to complete the 540 outer loop. State DOT officials say they are planning to do whatever they can to stick with this August 28th opening of this new section. Now, the second phase connecting I-40 to I-87 in Knightdale is expected to open sometime in 2028. The focus now is making sure Debbie doesn't delay the opening of this new section.
Thanks for that, Ken. Drones are helping keep people safe during severe weather in New York, even before a tropical storm hits. City-owned drones equipped with loudspeakers are the newest weapon in arming people with potentially life-saving information. It's all part of an early weather warning system that developed after Hurricane Ida caused historic flooding in New York City 3 years ago. Intense thunderstorms started slamming parts of New York City's area Tuesday afternoon, bringing heavy downpours for them. There's some brand new technology there, and we're shouting it from the mountaintops for people to hear to be safe.
We could start to see some heavy downpours later today. The rain is starting to fill in after drizzle this morning. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, a much more active radar right now.
Yeah, really starting to see the coverage increase considerably. Some steady rain here in the eastern part of the state is now spreading in across our viewing area. Not a lot of lightning with this. There's some pockets where it's a little bit heavier. We'll move up here to parts of Franklin County, past Lewisburg, over toward Creedmoor, Wake Forest, Rollsville. We're seeing all of this move from east to west. That's not the typical way we see rain moving across our area, but the center of the circulation of the storm is down to the south, and it rotates counterclockwise, and so that's why the rain is moving in this direction, and we'll continue to see it filling in. Look at Amy. They are moving along past Lumberton up I-95. We'll take a look. They just drove through this rain band. We're going to take a live picture there, and you can see that the rain has tapered off just a little bit as they're moving out of that rain band and up on north, up toward Fayetteville and Hope Mills. It looks like everything's moving along just fine out there on I-95, but look at all the water standing on the side of the road. You can tell there has been a lot of it out there, so just be careful if you're going to be traveling. Note that tonight and tomorrow, you want to stay put if you can, because that rain's really going to pick up in intensity. So thanks to Amy and Jamie for being out there on the road for us. Let's take a look at what happened this morning. Of course, as I was just talking about, the system rotates counterclockwise, and overnight it dragged in some dry air that moved in, so it looked completely different this morning as we had all that dry air making its way in. Well, as it's sitting out here off the coast of South Carolina, it's beginning to collect a little bit more moisture, and it's going to start to interact with this trough of low pressure. That trough will act a little bit like a weak front, and you know what happens when we have a front? It creates a lift. When we create lift, that's when we create storms and rain, and that's just going to create a more intense situation for us. So this is 5 o'clock, and you can see that system dropping in, the two of these kind of colliding together to create something a little bit stronger. So this is 6 a.m. on Thursday, and you can see the center of circulation lifting northward. The center may not pass right over our viewing area. It may be a little bit farther to our west. One implication of that is this is the side of the center of circulation where we would more likely see tornadoes. So that may bump up our potential for tornadoes if the center passes to our west, closer to the mountains. For the rest of the day today, we're going to continue to see the rainfall gradually increasing, but boy, we get into some really heavy heavy rain late tonight and early tomorrow morning. There's 6 a.m., there's lunchtime, there's 5 o'clock. Some of the heaviest rainfall totals may be back across parts of the Piedmont and the foothills, but we're going to see plenty of it that could cause some flooding as well. Around the Triangle, an additional 4 to 6 inches. We've already seen over an inch of rain in the Triangle. And then down in Fayetteville, 5 to 7, Clinton 5 to 7. There's already been 2 inches of rain down there. So just more of this to come. Our chance for tornadoes today in our viewing area is fairly minimal, but tomorrow we have this level 2 risk that's going to be from Goldsboro northward up the I-95 corridor. But really anybody east of the Triangle has a decent chance of at least an isolated tornado or two. Let's talk about those rivers. The forecast has dropped a little bit. This is great news for the Lumber River at Lumberton. This is an area that floods so easily. It's looking like moderate flooding. Starting now all the way through Friday. We take a look at the Neuse River at Clayton, and it's likely to come up to minor, almost moderate by early Friday morning. It may climb a little bit more. The Neuse River downstream at Smithfield is likely to be up to moderate flood stage on Saturday, and so is the Neuse River at Goldsboro. Even that moderate flooding tends to bring just some minor flooding issues, and we'll talk about some of the other rivers coming up in a little while. It's likely to be fairly gusty on Thursday and into Friday. We take a look at our gusts today, going to be around 20 to 25, but for Thursday and Friday, it could be easily 35 to 40, and we could end up with some isolated portions of the area that are starting to see some trees down and some power outages. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about our coastal impacts, what kind of winds they're seeing, and what's going on with the storm surge.
Elizabeth, thanks. With an extreme flood risk in effect for the Triangle tomorrow, we want you to have all the information you need to stay safe. Coming up at 4, we're breaking down the state's flood warning system and how you can use it.
Then one of the best ways to keep streets from flooding, keep storm drains clear. And you can help to do this. Durham and Chapel Hill let people adopt storm drains. We'll tell you how that works ahead on our news at 5 today.
Hyundai and Kia's latest anti-theft software update is showing results, even though car thefts remain overall high. Insurance claims for stolen Hyundai and Kias are 64% lower among cars that have had the anti-theft upgrade. That number was compared to cars of the same make, model, and year without the upgrade. From early 2020 through the first half of 2023, thefts of Hyundai and Kias rose more than 1,000%. EV sales have climbed, topping 1 million in 2023. But concerns over batteries and charging could slow that growth. New data reveals about 1 in 5 EV charging stations does not work. That's important because charging influences vehicle sales and the ability to meet emissions targets. Policymakers are currently struggling with how to develop the charging network in the U.S., who will pay for it, and who should maintain it.
Shares of Airbnb are under pressure after the vacation rental platform warns of some signs of slowing demand in the U.S. The company is pointing to shorter booking windows. It suggests people are waiting until the last minute to make reservations due to worries about the economy and inflation. Earlier this month, Booking Holdings also warned the booking windows shrank this spring and are expected to tighten even more during our summer. For hundreds of years, beacons of light have helped to keep ships at sea safe. Today, we celebrate National Lighthouse Day. A total of 7 coastal lighthouses dot North Carolina's shoreline from the Outer Banks to the Brunswick Islands. The Cape Hatteras National Seashore in Buxton, North Carolina, that's the tallest in the nation, most recognizable lighthouse. It was completed in 1870, but is currently closed for climbing due to a restoration process that continues.
Parts of the viewing area are getting some rain from Tropical Storm Debbie. This is a live look at northbound I-95 near St. Paul's in Robeson County, where the WRAL storm tracker is driving right now. Those windshield wipers activated. We'll go live to neighboring Cumberland County for a look at conditions there when our live team coverage of Tropical Storm Debbie continues.
Plus, an earthquake on the West Coast packed a powerful punch. Video of the moment that rattled nerves in California.
First, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers.
We're keeping you informed this noon on the local impacts of Tropical Storm Debbie. Here's where things stand right now. The storm's outer bands are slowly churning over the Carolina coast, dumping lots of rain.
At noon, our crew reported 35-mile-per-hour winds at Myrtle Beach. At 11 a.m., the National Hurricane Center discontinued the storm surge watch for the North Carolina coast. Governor Cooper held a briefing 90 minutes ago and pointed out the potential flooding issues for the central and southeastern parts of our state. Our team coverage continues now with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tracking the rain that's filling in, and more rain to come, Elizabeth.
And we've been watching this, of course, all morning. Early on, we didn't see a whole lot of rain from the Triangle area north and west, but we were expecting things to intensify a little bit this afternoon. That's exactly what's happened. We'll see this rain really picking up in intensity overnight tonight and early tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the day with this storm that we see the heaviest rain. Here's what's happening right now. We zoom in, a little bit of heavier rain pushing through Creedmoor, coming out of Lewisburg, Wake Forest, Rollsville, over toward Durham, Chapel Hill, Morrisville. Just some scattered showers, not even a whole lot of lightning with this. Then it's a bit steadier down to the east, looking for Wilson up through, say, Tarboro, Fremont, Smithfield, Four Oaks, and Benson. And more of that rain from the coast will continue to push in until it's pretty intense overnight tonight and for parts of the day tomorrow. The storm is still moving very slowly. Northeast at 5, winds have jumped up to 60 miles per hour and may jump to 65 before it moves back on shore just north of Charleston later on this evening. That means that in that Charleston area where they've had so much rain, they may have a better chance of having some wind damage, some trees down, that sort of thing. Then it continues to move up to the north and northwest and eventually quickly moves past North Carolina. That's good news for us. That may decrease the total amount of rainfall as it moves a little bit faster, and it moves out of here. It's at 8 a.m. on Friday morning. It's already in Virginia, so that's a much quicker move across North Carolina. That's definitely good news for us. Speaking of moving across North Carolina, we have meteorologist Amy Wilmoth and Jamie Munden there in the storm tracker headed toward Fayetteville on I-95. Amy, it looks like you're back into a little bit of rain.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center. This is a live look at Carolina Beach. You can see a lot of people on the beach right now. Definitely a day to be aware and not go into the water. Governor Cooper, we heard from him earlier, warning residents to be prepared for major rainfall and flooding. He says water rescue teams are standing by. I do have some video for you from South Carolina. They had some major flooding there. A family actually had to be rescued from the French Quarter Creek there. Several people had to be rescued. We see all the rising water there. Also this afternoon, we're learning that President Biden approved an emergency declaration, disaster declaration for us here in North Carolina.
Tropical Storm Debbie is expected to push inland in South Carolina late tonight or early tomorrow morning.
WRAL's Chelsea Donovan is live in Myrtle Beach right now. Windy conditions still continued there. Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely. We came to you about 30 minutes ago. Weren't seeing this rain, but it's coming out in droves right now. The wind's starting to pick up. I just looked at my phone again, about a 35-mile-an-hour wind gust. Look at the angry seas as well as some of that ocean overwash coming up. I spoke just a few minutes ago to the Horry County emergency manager. They are not as concerned about storm surge as they were. They're expecting possibly about 1 to 3 feet. But look down the Grand Strand here. I mean, obviously, the Grand Strand is known for the hotels and high rises, and you can barely even see them now with this driving rain. Here in the city of Myrtle Beach, no evacuations, no voluntary evacuations, but we know that they spent the last 2 weeks preparing for Debbie. That's because they are likening this to something like Hurricane Florence back in 2018, Dorian, and then even Hurricane Joaquin back in October of 2015 with the amount of water that could impact this city in the coming days. But right now, besides the wind and the rain, no real issues here in the city of Myrtle Beach, but their emergency operations department is ready to go, fully activated and ready to respond if needed. We'll continue to monitor these conditions as they're worsening minute by minute. We're live in Myrtle Beach. Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
Also, preparations on post. At the top of the hour, Fort Liberty released all non-essential personnel in advance of Debbie's arrival.
It's just one of the steps officials there and in Cumberland County are taking to protect people. WRAL's Gilbert Bays is live in a familiar trouble spot in Fayetteville flooding-wise with a look at the water levels at the Cape Fear River. Gilbert, this is your water gauge.
That's exactly right. And Randy, you know, I'm from Philadelphia, but I've been here for 40 years. And before I got here, I didn't know anything about hurricanes, tornadoes, centipede grass, or sweet tea. Now I'm an expert in all that. You know, you guys up there in the Weather Center using some pretty sophisticated equipment to gauge what's happening. Photojournalist Mike Jordan and I use this boat dock right here. We were here yesterday. It was visible. Now you can see it's starting to be covered. But we've been out here when all of those sticks have been covered and the water has been up as high as the bottom of the Person Street Bridge during Hurricanes Florence and Matthew. Now, we don't expect that to happen now, but the city of Fayetteville and the municipalities here have issued a state of emergency so that when things happen, they can move very quickly to take some action to keep everybody safe, including opening 5 different shelters. I think we may have a graphic that will show you what that is, but I do want to point out that Southview High School and Westover High School will be one that is pet friendly. You can take your pets if you do, but you're still responsible for them. They will be housed in a separate area from the folks who are out there being assisted by the Red Cross. Again, take the warnings to get out and move if you have to very seriously. When you hear that happen, make your move. Reporting live here in Fayetteville, Gilbert Bays, WRAL News.
WRAL will be with you throughout the storm until the threats are over. We have team coverage from the WRAL Severe Weather Center to the coast and right here in the Triangle and beyond.
The earth trembled in Southern California this morning. There's video proof of that rattling and what it measured.
And we're watching Tropical Storm Debbie. Here's a live look at Wrightsville Beach. You can see the rain and wind are picking up. We will walk you through our extreme flood risk for tomorrow and explain why it's rare. Download the WRAL News app to keep up to date with important information on Tropical Storm Debbie. Get access to updates, our live cameras, and live radar as we track Debbie.
In about 5 minutes, Team USA will be trying to add to its lead in the medal count. Track and field events resume at 12:45, and that includes the finals of the men's 400 meters and 3,000 meter steeplechase. And at 4 o'clock this afternoon, catch men's beach volleyball as Team USA plays Qatar. You can take a look at the medal count right here on your screen. The U.S. is in the lead, 87 total medals. China is in second place with 61. Host country France is in third with 48 medals.
A 19-year-old hopes to become the youngest person to fly solo to all 7 continents. He's not doing it for the glory. He's doing it for others. Ethan Guo began his journey back in May in Memphis. He landed in Geneva, Switzerland on Tuesday after visiting 7 other countries. Next stop, Greece.
Once my cousin got diagnosed with stage 4 blood cancer, the cause became a lot more personal, and I wanted to make a difference with something I could do. And so I reached out to St. Jude Children's Hospital. We came up with the idea of how I could help, how we could work on this together, how we can make this world a better place.
See the world with a purpose. He wants to cover 50,000 miles in 100 days with stops in 60 countries. His goal is to raise up to $1 million for childhood cancer research.
A lot of flying for him. There are 4 people now charged with the murder of a Wisconsin man outside a Hyatt hotel.
They are charging them with the obvious. We all seen the videos. We've all heard the audio.
Coming up, why the family says the charges should have come sooner.
And here's a live look at Carolina Beach. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is tracking Debbie in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. She'll talk about when Debbie will speed up and why that's encouraging for North Carolina. Welcome back. This is a live look at Beaufort, where there are overcast skies and a lull in the rain right now, but there is more rain on the way with Tropical Storm Debbie. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
4 employees at a Milwaukee hotel are now charged with murder in the death of Devontae Mitchell. Newly released video shows the violent encounter, and we want to warn you, some of the video that you're about to see and hear is very disturbing to watch. The charges name 2 security members, a front desk agent, and a bellman. They accuse them of causing Mitchell's death while committing misdemeanor battery. The medical examiner lists his death as homicide and also notes effects from cocaine and methamphetamine.
What caused his death was the fact that 4 people beat him to death on a sidewalk and jumped on top of him for 15 minutes. That is why he's dead.
An investigation report says hotel security responded when Mitchell ran into a women's bathroom there. His mother says that she believes he had a mental health episode inside the Hyatt Hotel.
2 people are dead and several others were trapped after a hotel collapsed in Germany. It happened around 11 Tuesday night. 5 of the people were able to get out of the building unhurt because they weren't in the part that collapsed. The cause has not been determined. Testimony resumed today in day 2 of hearings into Boeing's mid-air air plug blowout. After 7 months of investigations, neither Boeing nor the National Transportation Safety Board know how a 737 MAX was delivered to Alaska Airlines without the 4 bolts needed to keep a door plug in place. The necessary paperwork for that temporary door plug removal was apparently never created. New video shows the moment an earthquake struck Southern California Monday night. The 5.2 magnitude quake hit the town of Lamont. It's about 100 miles away from Los Angeles. This is the view from the camera at the Santa Monica Pier. No significant damage or injuries were reported.
And we have a chance to get over to Elizabeth Gardner right now because we are taking a look at the radar once again. Elizabeth, this is a big system. It's not moving quickly, but it is changing.
It is. So yesterday, it dragged in a lot of dry air, I should say last night. And so it looked like it was weakening some. It didn't mean that the center of circulation was necessarily weakening, but the dry air kept a lot of that rain from forming. Now it's beginning to reform as it interacts with a different system that's going to be dropping in from the north and west. So here's what we have right now. We have some fairly steady rain up and down the I-95 corridor from Fayetteville, really all the way up to Roanoke Rapids. West of I-95, just some scattered showers. Some pockets there are a little bit heavier. You can see that around Creedmoor and back over in northern Durham County and headed over toward Hillsborough. We head down to the south. Some pockets here moving across Clayton, kind of a pocket of some heavier rain there moving out of Wilson and Lucama, but just some steady rain for Wilson down toward Goldsboro, Benson, and 4 Oaks. But this will increase. We take a look at meteorologist Amy Wilmoth there. She's in the storm tracker. We're going to take a live view. She was in a drier position there a little while ago, but moving through some of that steady rain there just north of Fayetteville, headed up toward Dunn on I-95. It looks like things are moving along fine, but you can see that it's wet. I'll tell you, tonight and tomorrow, you want to stay off the roads as much as you can as we start to see some much heavier rainfall across our area. Let's talk about why that is. Here comes a trough, which acts oftentimes as a weak front. That's going to drop in as Debbie is moving to the north. Those two are going to interact to help to increase the rainfall, and that will increase late tonight and early tomorrow morning. You can see that at 6 a.m. The other thing I want you to notice here is that most of the rain is on the north side of the center of circulation. So we're going to follow this center across North Carolina. Just remember, on the north side is where the bulk of the rain is. So once the center has passed, it's not likely to bring us any more rain. Still some fairly steady rain on and off through the evening on Thursday. We'll take a little closer look at the rest of the day today. Some waves of some heavier rain, but look at how intense it gets by early tomorrow morning. That's 6 a.m. There's lunchtime, and then there's 5 p.m. We may end up seeing some of the heaviest rainfalls out of this whole system in North Carolina, actually to our west, and we'll still have the potential for some flooding rain, but that also puts us in a better chance for tornadoes, unfortunately, as we get through the day tomorrow. So technically, we're in the extreme risk for flooding for tomorrow, but a couple of things working in our favor. One, we had all that dry air work its way into the system yesterday, and it looks like it's going to be moving pretty quickly across North Carolina, so we bumped down our rainfall totals an additional 2 to 4 inches near the Virginia line, 4 to 6 in the Triangle, and 5 to 7 around Fayetteville and Clinton. Fayetteville and Clinton have already seen 2 inches of rain, so we're still talking about overall a lot of rain. How about the coastal impacts? We were expecting to see some storm surge, but as the system really slowed down, storm surge comes from the system moving across the ocean and pushing water out ahead of it. just really wasn't doing that. And so fortunately, we're not seeing that 2 to 4 foot storm surge, and we're not going to see as much erosion. Now, breeze, wind still 40 to 45 miles per hour, isolated tornadoes, and plenty of rain. That's likely to cause some flooding. We do still have a tropical storm warning along the southern beaches, and up to Morehead City, a tropical storm watch. The wind speeds, the strongest wind speeds around Wilmington. These are some buoys. 44 in Wilmington, 43 off the coast there, 38 off Cape Hatteras. And of course, that's not too bad. We do still have a high rip current danger, of course. You certainly don't want to be getting in the water there at the ocean anytime soon. Tomorrow's going to be our heavy rain day out of this system. And then Friday, we're going to see it pulling away, but there still may be enough wind around to help to produce some downed trees and some possible power outages.
Let me give you this live look right now, just downtown in Raleigh. But I can tell you, when I came in this morning, you couldn't see the lights on top of the PNC tower there. So just from the station to there, this view that you're seeing here, couldn't see downtown. It was too cloudy, too rainy. Expect more of that tomorrow.
And here's a look at your winning Mega Millions numbers. We have 23, 29, 36, 61, 70. The Mega Ball is 22, and the Megaplier is 4. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
Voluntary evacuations are underway right now in our state's southernmost beaches. President Biden has approved federal disaster money for North Carolina. Governor Roy Cooper has activated more than 350 soldiers and airmen from the NC National Guard. 17 Swiftwater rescue teams have also been deployed if needed. We have crews tracking the storm in our studio, live on the roads around the Triangle and at the coast.
Debbie is hitting Myrtle Beach with strong winds and heavy rain. No one is allowed in the water because of the dangerous conditions. The mayor says the city has been preparing for the storm for a few weeks. She's reminding people who live there to stay weather aware and prepare for significant rain over the next couple of days.
Governor Roy Cooper is advising North Carolinians not to underestimate Debbie's likely impacts. He held a news conference today to talk about how the state is preparing for the storm. Since the disastrous flooding we saw in Matthew and Florence, Cooper says the state has enhanced its system of river gauges. That gives them a better understanding of where and when flooding is likely and help may be needed.
We are just a day away from the NFL's preseason kickoff for the Carolina Panthers. The team will practice today before heading to New England to face the Patriots tomorrow. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. You can watch the game live on Fox 50. This will be our first time seeing the Panthers under new coach Dave Canales. Our pets of the day are a package deal. They're from Cat Angels Pet Adoptions. Comet is a 5-month-old kitten who loves to run and chase. He's expected to be a fairly large cat once he's fully grown. Comet is bonded with his brother Astro, who will keep up with his brother when playing. He's laid back, but also the explorer of the two, and enjoys watching things from a high perch. To meet them in person, fill out an application on the Cat Angels website.
Today on our news at 4, as we watch Debbie move toward the Triangle, we are monitoring flooding hotspots around the city, and WRAL's Brett Neese will show us those areas we should avoid. They have creeks that have potential to overflow onto the roads.
That's all the time we have today on Fox 50. You can get important weather information and alerts on our WRAL News app, so download the app and keep your phone charged.
And stay weather aware and safe.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham,